This episode of Verbal Tap brought to you by NogiBJJGear.com.
Use the promotional code VerbalTap15 to get 15% off of your order. Do it!
Is the moment UFC fans around the world have been waiting for.
Record now.
Time!
Raph, I'm sober enough to do this podcast. That's all I'm going to say on the matter, which means it's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is way easier when you're not on the ABC 1 card. I like seeing the 1 next to fights. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, of course, Raph Esparza. Raph, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. I didn't have a quarterback go down, so I've been pretty okay, all things considered today, Kev. I was just concerned about you.
Thanks for bringing it up right off the bat. Super appreciate. I'm managing the pain through, I guess what you would call alcohol.
You
little
do
bit
know
of
that makes for a good show as well.
A little bit of Colorado's finest plant-based activities. Oh, who do you have on the line?
Yes, okay. We should introduce the guest because, again, it's an over-under.
Because he'll
week.
slap the
Surprise,
shit
everybody.
out of one of us if we don't introduce him in time.
Oh, man. Just left me out of the loop.
So here's what you should know about this gentleman. He is one of the nicest human beings. Also, maybe a little feared just by the amount of slaps he's given people. He is a combat jiu-jitsu winner. He is a multi-faceted individual. We've seen him compete at just about everything under the sun, and there's good reason for it. But I thought this week, to really give Kev a run for his money, we would bring on friend of the show, Richard Red Alarcon. Rich, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing solid right now. I'm ready to get this show on the road.
Damn, dude, do you have somewhere to be? Like, were you excited for this? Because I reached out to you
I'm
a couple
excited.
times, and we've tried to make this happen. And I just thought, let's bring you on a big card. This is a Conor McGregor card. So when we get to that in a little bit, I thought, who better to push Kevin than a man who has been under duress a number of times in high-profile competitions? So, Red, what have you been up to lately, man? What is going on in your world?
Lately, I've just, been, on a positive kick. Just been trying to improve myself first above, anything else. We're in, unpredictable times right now. So, I've just been working on myself, working on those around me, just trying to be positive and just be a light in the darkness, amongst all this stuff right now. So I've just been trying to help people out. A little bit of training here and there, Very, very, rare right now just because everything's closed up here in California. That's been like the toughest thing for me, but just been staying busy, working, all that good stuff.
You are famous for putting up Instagram stories where you'll start off the day at 3 a.m., which, by the way, lifting at 3 a.m. is a choice, or 4 a.m. That's what he does, Kev. But he is putting up these inspirational quotes. Is there ever a day where you just think to yourself, I don't want to be inspirational?
Myself, I don't post every single day, but I try my best to, hold myself accountable because there's always someone that needs to hear something, decent. If not always, at least once here and there, I try to keep it as real as possible. Sometimes I'll let people know, hey, to be honest, I started this day on a negative note, or I just didn't even feel like getting in here at all. But, sometimes you just got to, have discipline and just switch that mindset and just, go from there. But it's not always, flowers and rainbows. There's some dark days for sure, but we try to have more good ones than bad ones.
Well,
now,
living the black belt life, though, Raph, how do you keep sharp during the quarantine? Is there... Because I'll just tell you in terms of like what we've heard is, some people, and not present company included, like you'll have like a small group of people you can train with that are in your bubble. Do you have that ability? Is it that imperative to you? You're kind of at a different skill level.
Yeah, well, me personally, it's like I have that muscle memory already. I've done it for so many years. I'm blessed with the weight room at my house, so I've been staying active in that. It's been like my biggest thing is just staying active, strength training, working my plyometrics and a little bit of conditioning here and there. But it's I have a group right now kind of, sort of. I just have to be careful because, like I said, here in California, just got to be wary of those cases and, got to take in consideration, family and friends and everybody else I'm close by.
It always feels like, I don't know if you guys get the same impression, but it feels like every time we make a few strides on this thing for COVID, then they go, it's made an adaptation. It's now growing. It's now learned how to speak English. And it's like, whoa, shit, what the fuck
Man.
now?
Got 2 legs now, what?
So, Kev, what I was going to say is he and I have chatted plenty of times before. I have interviewed him a multiple number of times because he wins a lot. So it usually makes my job pretty easy. But you guys have never met. Kev, do you have questions for him? Because you've seen him compete. You've been around. We've done even fight companions when he's doing competition. What questions do you have for Rich, either about competition or just kind of a get to know him better sort of vibe?
The internet's a little murky about when you started jiu-jitsu. What's like your entrance into martial arts in what you would call like, when do you start what you're doing now?
Okay, so I'll just give you a little background. Let's just start from the beginning. I was about 7 when I first stepped on the mats, just a regular little Mexican kid, didn't know if he wanted to play soccer or jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? So I started jiu-jitsu when I was 7, went for about 3 years. The cost kind of went up for tournaments and competition, so I transitioned from jiu-jitsu to wrestling. So I wrestled from 10 years old until about 21. And in that time frame of 11 years, I did a little jiu-jitsu here and there, but nothing like consistent, just because wrestling was kind of like the main thing. And once I got back from college wrestling, that's when I transitioned back to, I guess you could say, jiu-jitsu, a little bit of Muay Thai, MMA, all that good stuff. And, 9 years later, here we are.
Okay, so 7 is the first answer there. You left out some D1 business and some wrestling accolades, which I appreciate because I like that you're just skipping ahead. Okay, loss you want back. Do you have a loss in your memory that you're like, that one drives me nuts?
I'd say there's probably a couple of them, to be honest. The biggest one is, of course, probably Ashley Williams. That'd be the biggest one.
Okay.
It's also troubling, Kevin, because Ashley Williams was essentially one of the last competitions before pandemic shut down. So it's one of the last opportunities you get. And I have to tell you this, though, Rich. If there was any time to take off, it was kind of nice and I guess kind of the right time for you to be like, well, I'm going to heal up this arm. I hope other people don't really get the opportunity to advance. Oh, pandemic? Ha! Suckers.
Yeah.
You guys have to do it too.
Yeah, so because I, after that, I got an arm injury in that one. I ended up competing a couple weeks later at Worlds for IBJJF, and I ran into Jiao Miao. And so, I was like, you know what? I'm going to wrap up this year, see if we can end on a good note. And I drew him first round, so I was just like, oh, man, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I had half an arm and then whatever I had left. So, but, it did kind of suck for me, but I definitely want to jump back into competitions and combats, just the tournament I need to get my momentum going again.
I mean, one of the things I did tell Ash, because I spoke to him afterwards, and I wanted to interview him because I know it's hard as an athlete sometimes to hear these sorts of things, but if I know the caliber of the person they beat, then I think sometimes I know how to interview that person without being 100% disrespectful. It's just like, yo, you beat Red. That's not easy, dude. That's a tough thing. And he had nothing but praise and nice things to say about you, to the point where even when he was talking about you, it was with some sort of intention of, you guys are probably going to see each other again.
Yeah, more than likely. You know what I mean? Because he, competes, anywhere from about 145 to 155, I believe. He's a relatively big boy. And I know ADCC, the lowest weight class is 145. So if I'll see him, I'll probably see him there, or, one of the invitational tournaments.
Yeah, I always look at those kind of competitions and think, yeah, you guys are probably going to run into each other again. If not now, at some point, it's just there's too many opportunities.
Yeah, because right now we're 1-1. So
I was like, didn't you fight him again? I'm now stalking your record. I'm surprised we're not prepared to call out Zhao, who put out an ad for you on Craigslist. Just what I heard. It's just what I heard.
Yeah.
I'm already starting to jab, Raph. Do you feel that?
And I do know that this is the everybody be nice to each other portion of the show. Trash talk does ensue in about a good 15 minutes.
Yeah, but he's violent. I have to be like extra subtle / specific. He's got a lot of skill.
And I do want to bring this up because in the same way that you were, we saw this year was kind of the summer of one Mason Fowler. You had an amazing summer of 2019 where, you were winning combat jiu-jitsu, which then was going into even like competing at ADCC. So it's like, it's one of those years where you feel because it's the odd year, you're supposed to go to ADCC. And because now we postponed that, it's like, I just know when I see you working, you're working towards that kind of a goal. So that's why it's so great. Like y'all's division is too crazy. Like every time we see the names in there at ADCC trials, it's intense, dude.
Oh yeah, you gotta, with that level of competition, you have to stay on your toes. You slack off a little bit and someone's right on your tail. So the biggest thing is you got to stay consistent, stay hungry. You know what I mean? Because you try to relax too much, and next thing you know, you're getting passed up real quick. So that's just, the level of competition and the evolution of jiu-jitsu. That's how it's always going to be. You're never just going to stay on top forever. You got to constantly be working and adapting the entire time.
Kev, I'm about to turn him over to asking questions to you so that he has intel for his trash talk. And now, a lot of people know him as a very nice guy, but you don't get to be a very good competitor unless you have a certain kind of savagery on with you. So I do believe he is capable of talking trash. Will he? That's a different question. But Kev, do you have any other questions you want to ask him?
What's the toughest part about college wrestling?
Let's see. I'd probably say the scheduling. Like the scheduling of everything, because I did go to a military college, so there was that aspect of the fact that you had to do all your military duties, live a certain lifestyle, and at the same time you had to try to fit in all your classes, have to cut all kinds of weight.
I'm sorry, what was the college?
I went to the Citadel in South Carolina.
Shit, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up going there, and so you have certain duties that you have to do. The way you dress, cleanliness, time management's a big thing. So having to manage that, schooling, cutting all the weight, going to practice, and then traveling to different states at a time. That was like the hardest part, to try and juggle everything. You know what I mean?
I don't. But I do appreciate the effort required to do so. And okay, fascinating, Raph. Getting nervous here on this side of the aisle. I won't lie to you.
Well, I think you're pretty in the know now.
This
why
next
we're glad he's a
segment
friend of the
brought
show.
to you by Manscaped. Put in Verbal Tap. Get a little discount. Buzz your way into 2021. Are you upset about the Capitol Rebellion? Get more nimble. Use Manscaped. Trim off a few angles. Take it from professional athlete Red, who signs. He's like, I don't want to sign off on this. Just trust us.
Not at all.
Trust us. And head on over. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, do the plug. I was gonna go for Marshall X, but you can do that one.
That was actually. I'm glad you said that, because I was like, I know it's not no-gi BJJ here anymore. I know it's now a Steven Seagal film. xmarshall.com. the baddest cop in the land, selling the baddest gear in the land. Enter in Verbal Tap 15, get 15 off. Raph.
Yes, let's go back to this.
Woo!
Red, you're somebody who can speak both languages in terms of wrestling and jiu-jitsu. What do we need in jiu-jitsu to make it more exciting from a wrestling standpoint? Because I get excited when you're in a match because you're versatile enough to make it fun no matter what. But
Well,
not
know,
everybody can do that.
Yeah. So like, personally in jiu-jitsu, you need some kind of overtime, especially in these point matches. Overtime that's going to get people on their feet, maybe a takedown only, takedown wins it because, who really wants to see two guys sitting on their butt scooting towards each other, not really progressing, you know what I mean? That's kind of a deterrent to get people to try and watch jiu-jitsu and support it, you know what I mean?
I don't know. Describe it slower and in the right areas.
Yeah. So in the sense that, let's just say you have a match, two guys are just sitting down, legs in front of each other, trying to do who knows what, grappling around. Time runs out, and it's like, who really won that match? You know what I mean? There's no overtime. So it just comes down to like referee's decision. Most of the time it's politics. So, if you're doing like a little overtime of takedown wins it, I bet you a lot of, competitors that aren't proficient in takedowns would definitely try to push the pace a little bit more, something along those lines.
Okay. All right. I mean, we're just trying to compile as much knowledge as we can because if you were to tell Kevin and I, whoever gets the first takedown between the two of us in a match, you should probably pill up a chair. You're going to be there for a while.
Doesn't matter. It'd still be exciting. You know what I mean? If it wasn't exciting, it would at least be funny, and that would get people to watch it, right?
Well, who's showed you footage of me and Kevin wrestling, I guess, is number one. But number two, I mean, we're trying to come up with a solution because every so often we just, I don't know, if you ever watch a bad match, you always feel for the athletes. You want it to be fun. You're rooting for them, and some just aren't going to be fun. And my sympathy for you guys is always, listen, do what you got to do to win. So it's always, if we can come up with a rule set or suggestions whenever we get the chance to.
Was it Sergio Pena? Who showed you the footage? Sorry, Raph. I just thought we should.
Name drop.
That's perfectly fine. So, Red, here's an important aspect that we need to do because Kevin's got all this intel about you now. He spent a few minutes researching, looking up things that he's going to use as fuel to kind of get under your skin as we do the guessing game for UFC 257. What questions do you have for Kevin that might be able to fuel your ability to trash talk him or to maybe, defend yourself if necessary?
Yeah. Just want to know a little bit about his background in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
If any.
No, I'll give you the abridged quick version. Started really intensely at combatives level 1, taught by 2 jiu-jitsu instructors in Manhattan, Kansas. One of them being Joe Wilk. The other, Dave Durnell, both black belts and pretty renowned badasses, actually. But that you could kind of sense the jiu-jitsu undertones in the combatives training. They were teaching like Army combatives level 1. That spurred a lifelong quest kind of towards it. And then when I was living out in D.C., I started training under someone who had recently immigrated from Brazil. And that's how it flourishes. Now I'm out in sunny Denver, Colorado, where I trained under a Hibero black belt for a little bit. But I'm a journeyman purple belt.
Oh, there we go. Journeyman. Oh, man.
I'm glad that he is finding this entertaining.
I like how descriptive he found that to be. He's like, oh, I know that person. Got it. Been there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'll see you next week after one practice.
It's also, I should point this out to make sure that we're very honest about Kevin's journey. It's been plagued with a few injuries
Just
that
recently.
have been
How dare you? Some of it
unfortunate.
was great.
So Kevin is one of those guys who he gets really excited to come back to the mats, and then all of a sudden he just goes, "Hey Raph, remember my arms? Yes. Yeah, they don't work anymore. Oh, okay. Well,
I had a few surgeries. I had 5, if we're just counting. But I'm
Wow.
about to be back and better than ever. / not competing anymore, that's for sure. So maybe not better than ever, but like able to breathe during a normal Tuesday roll would be nice.
There we go.
well, listen, if you've got one more question, I've got time for it because again, we cannot stress how many guests will wish they had taken the time to ask a second or third question, especially once Kevin, and I don't know if you get this already, he's got a quick wit on him. Not
Oh,
quick at jiu-jitsu, but a quick wit. So do you have a second question you'd like to ask?
Yeah. What beer number are you? Because your words are pretty horrible right now.
I guess if I'm lying, 5. If I'm being honest, 6.5. But 2 of them were seltzers. Do those
Man,
count?
you sound like you're about to take a nap. So I was just curious.
I feel fantastic. I've never been happier. I was up at the altitude of Breckenridge all weekend. Now I'm back at just Mile High.
There we go.
Sober as
you know,
a
Kev,
J-bug.
I got to be really honest with you. I wasn't sure I was going to take to the trash talk. Normally, the inspirational guy is going to be the guy that you kind of go, I don't know. I think
know.
somewhere
And then
deep
he
inside-
shivs me in the chest right before we start. He hit me gladiator style, like when Joaquin goes backstage, is like stabs him. It was like, we haven't started yet. Hey, wait.
Hey, he's like, it's all good. The Chiefs still won. I'm good, no matter what happens.
Except now I'm like, how many beers did I have? I'm feeling a little guilty. It kind of feels like your coach being like, you look a little slower.
It's like, damn, we got a little bit of doubt.
Okay. All right. See, Kev, we're talking about that mentality, and it's all there. I think it's time we transition to the game of over-under, Kevin.
And now it's time for the thrilling installment of Over
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are listening to a segment that we like to call Over Under Kevin. The rules are very simple on this one. We give each participant 15 seconds to say who they think is going to win for each fight. We do every fight on the card. We just do it out of order. We also, if I deem it, give them 15 seconds of rebuttal time to either question or further their analysis of their opponent's picks. Gentlemen, do you both understand the rules? Kev, do you?
I definitely do. I just made myself laugh looking at his record. I'm fine.
Okay. Red, do you understand the rules, sir?
Yes, sir.
Raph,
right,
quick
now-
interjection. Because Cy says he fought Spencer Mum, David Weintraub, and Edwin Ocasio, which basically sounds like he was fighting the cast of Twilight in a consecutive night. I contest that this was not a real fight.
I don't think he'll agree to any of that. I should also mention at some point, the man has dabbled in fighting MMA, Kev. So, just good things to remember. That's all. What I should tell you, though, is, yes, the winner of this is the person who gets the most correct picks. However, the people who really win, according to us here and the fans, is truly the person who talks the most amount of trash. Kevin, I'm very excited to start with you on this one. We're going to start right up top at the women's flyweight category. And this is between Jessica I and Joanne Calderwood. You've got 15 seconds on the clock. Go.
You know I love Jessica I. She burned me. It hurt deep. I needed her to come through just for once in that last event. And she was... Look, I'm prepared to take Calderwood for this simple reason. Recency bias and abs.
Okay. Fair enough. Rich, what do you got on this?
Myself, I'm going to have to go with Jessica I on this one. She is the underdog, but, she is the bigger person. And, she's fought some really good people. It's not like she lost to walks in the park. She actually lost, some really good people. Calderwood's got hands, but I think I's probably take it to the ground and just put that weight on her.
Okay, Kev, do you have a response to any of that?
I take personal offense at the deep analysis he was doing already, and she is a plus 100 underdog. So I respect it out of the gate. I want to tell you what I named us in my file here as I'm recording our picks. Team No Singlet, that's me. And the jiu-jitsu quitter on the other side, self-professed.
Red, I have to ask this because you mentioned odds. You mentioned underdog odds. Are you somebody who dabbles in the gambling of the MMA?
I mean, I've thrown a couple here and there. You know what I mean? Mostly on the bigger fights. I always like to take a look at the stats, obviously, and, just how they perform on, nights of the fights. A lot of people do really good, and a lot of people fold. Just all depends. And then another thing, to take out of this is that there's not a whole lot of people in the crowds. So people are affected by it a little bit differently than if there was.
That was my favorite yes to a gambling question I've ever heard, and I like him more than I ever have. I'm supposed to be competing, and I'm like, God, I love him. Go on, Raph, ask him about his betting canals. Like, if I did do it, here's...
I'll be very honest with you. That is definitely a very Hispanic answer, because if I were to ask any of my uncles, I can guarantee you that's the exact answer they would give me. I'd be like, hey, Theo, do you guys bet on MMA fights? Oh, see, the way it works is mijo. No, I mean, yeah, I've been known to maybe throw a few in, but man, betting, no, I don't. I can't recall the last time I bet. So that definitely seems it. But then when you get older, you find out they were basically gambling on even your soccer games. So, no big deal. It's why I turned out to be a compulsive gambler myself. But hey, listen, I'm just glad when I hear it in the voice, and it makes me very happy. Before we go on, though, Red, do crowds really factor into you? Do you like a lot of people that you're kind of grappling, like in that world when you have a lot of people who are watching, or are you fine with nobody in the audience?
At first, growing up, it did affect me a little bit. I mean, that the noise and everything, the lights, that does play a factor. But once I kind of like switched up on it, I started focusing on my match more, started zoning in a little bit better, just getting that focus. It stopped really affecting me. So, me personally, it could be crowd, no crowd. It doesn't really affect me anymore.
Noted.
Probably for 10 years. I'm sure, someone like Kev, it would definitely affect him. That's probably why he doesn't compete. But,
No. Kev.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just trying to text my therapist. Was I supposed to respond to that, Raph? I was having a moment.
Okay.
Where I was sharing, he's right. I will say, especially cocky blue belt Kevin walks into competition thinking this is the same. This is rolling, and I'm like puking minutes after the first match. So.
It is one of my favorite photos that Kevin did send me, was of him puking and
I
being
didn't
like,
send that.
Fine.
That was my previous aforementioned instructor who made that
That's
published.
True. Well, that's fair. Hey, we're going to move on to the next bout. It's a catchweight bout between Mosar. I'm just going to say Evolve. That's a better version of reading his name. You can kind of justify it.
Did it? No.
And Nick Lentz. Red, you've got this one first, sir.
Just looking at the stats, I mean, going to have to go with Mobzar. Just coming from the country that he is, he's got some pretty good grappling, some pretty good ground and pound. So I'd probably have to go his route. Obviously Nick Lentz's season, but I have to go the other way and go with the other guy.
Kev, what do you got on this?
He's stealing my thing, which is where I just pick the younger, undefeated fighter, even if they're from a country that seems weaker statistically. I did watch a documentary about the snipers in Norway, but that's not what we're talking about right here. I'm going to go with Evloev here, and not just because I like saying Evloev and hearing Raph pronounce it, whatever you said. I can't even. It was right in my head. Thank you. Okay.
It's there. It's like when you have to make a license plate out and you kind of have to sound it out and you go, yeah, I can see that. Okay.
But you're rubbing it again. I'm from Kansas. We didn't teach evolution, so the word.
Fair enough. I do want to point this out, though. Nick Lentz is somebody who is kind of a fan of our show. So we just want to say we support you if you're listening. And if you're not listening, then disregard that.
Well,
so.
long shot of the night. You can get great odds for somebody with iron in their fists with Nick Lentz.
It is very random when we do see the people who
Plus
you see on your stories.
340.
You see on your stories who's viewed it, and I will see Nick Lentz look at so many of our memes and occasionally share them that I go, does he like us? Uh-oh. Well,
he's on the line, but I think after this one, he's out the door.
Well, Nick, you heard it here first. Red Alarcon does not believe in you, not a fan of what you do. But the rest of us here, we are. So just remember that. Hey, Kev, you're going next. Brad Tavares versus Antonio Carlo Jr. Go.
This is tough, and you know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's Shoeface, and
It is.
you're like, wait, who's he fighting? Tavares? Uh-oh. This is my upset, though. I'm going with Shoeface. I think he's going to get punched-faced out, but I'm hoping for Shoeface win. I'm not optimistic.
Okay. Red, who do you got on this one? 15.
Me personally, I'm going to have to go with Carlos Jr. on this as well. Tavares, he was doing pretty good at first, but he's been on a steady little decline. Don't get me wrong, his hands are solid, but once someone gets him to the ground, they kind of overtake the fight from him.
Red, as somebody who actually has a nickname on this show, what do you feel your reaction would have been had the people giving you your nickname said, hey, Shoeface?
Oh, man, I don't know. You kind of just gotta... I don't know what you do with that name, to be honest.
He would have beaten them up, Raph. I'm reading between the lines. Red's like, I would have whipped that ass and been like, come up with something else.
I would probably have turned off the lights real quick.
I'll make it very clear to you. Red is a very nice young man, but I know the area code in which he hangs out. Those people go from 0 to 100 very quickly. So I'm pretty understood on what he is implying there. I just want to say, listen, you don't always get to pick your nicknames, but I'd like to think that when you fill out the paperwork and they go, what would you like to be known as? And you're sitting there going, they call me Shoeface. You know what? I'm just not going to put it. I'm just not.
Nope.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Leave blank.
Leave blank indeed. Best advice of the show thus far in. Kevin, you're going next. It's a lightweight bout between Matt Frivola and Ottman Azatar. That sounds really funny. All right, go for it.
I mean, I'm happy to go twice in a row in the front seat.
Oh, shit. Good
but
call.
I am going easily. And this isn't even... I'm going with the grain because of the violence of his country. Azatar. Plus, that's my favorite Leo DiCaprio movie.
Fair. Okay. What do you got for us, Red?
I'll probably have to go with Frivola on this one. He's pretty well-rounded. The guy has some really good stand-up, but, Frivola's, like I said, he's pretty well-rounded, has really good takedowns, decent submissions, and he can throw some hands himself.
Good call. Okay.
I
like
think
that.
this
Yeah,
is starting to shape up like the time he faced Hiago Gama the first time, and I'm about to win by a no points advantage. He knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's the worst.
I have to say, every time I see an athlete over celebrate with a no point win or like an advantage win, I do have to take a moment of pause. Like, don't insult them to their face right now. Like, don't look down, just kind of acknowledge and nod your head. Like, you did win, but this is not a rip your gi open sort of win, sir.
Yeah, that kind of win is something that Kevin would definitely celebrate himself. But no judgment here, right?
I want to bring this up because I've always wondered if this is a little bit of the heel version of you, because the Areola brothers are very clear about being like, dude, we love Red. He's family to us. And I think, yeah, I could see Jason talking some trash. And I could see Red throwing down. Yeah, I could see this happening. So it's good to know these things for future reference. But we're going to press on. It is a women's bantamweight bout. And I want to be very clear about what I did there. That's one of the few times I am pressed to think of a previous time that I've done it where I've done the same person twice, where Kevin had to do the leadoff twice. I don't usually make that mistake. So we've done about almost 100 of these. But instead right now, Red, you're going to do 2 picks in a row first. And that is the women's bantamweight bout between Juliana Pena, friend of the show, and Sarah McMahon. Who do you got?
I'm going to have to go with Pena on this one. McMahon's really solid, got some good wrestling. But, I mean, me personally, I think she's, on the downhill. Pena, she's, she has a fire under her butt. She's, took a big, amount of time off, and now she's back fired up, ready to go.
Kev, what do you have?
Okay, I'm not trying to just like hitch my win to his sail. We obviously disagreed in the last one. We agree here. Everybody gets a Pena win. You get a Pena win. The podcast gets a Pena win. Yeah, I agree. People
Can
from
I ask
Washington aren't as aggressive as people not from Washington.
This is a clarifying question, Kevin, and it's pretty important to figure out a distinction between your pick and his pick, even though they're the same pick.
Tom Brady. Wait, what?
But do you feel that this is Red turning his back on wrestling yet again by going against Sarah McMahon? Question to you.
He's been turning his back on martial art after martial art since he was 7. He gets into jiu-jitsu. Big whoop. Becomes a D1 wrestler. Oh, fine. Oh, now I'll be a black belt. It's like, pick a lane. This is the worst argument I've ever made publicly, but
Fair.
I'm sticking to it for another
I
few
feel like
minutes.
I feel like I'm at a bar at 4:00, and there's that one guy who drank too much and just all over the place. I'm gonna get this guy a cab.
Here's the good part of that story that I want to make sure that our
That guy
listeners
should
are
be
really
very
picking up.
careful not to fight you. For future reference to that guy listening, do not do it if it's Red. If it's Raph or I, you're okay. We don't
The
want
reason
we don't
why
want to
you
touch
have
up
to
the
really
mug.
stick on that particular story is because it assumes that we're all going to laugh at the person who he's seeing there at 4 a.m. But my question is also, what are you still doing there at 4 a.m.?
Closing time.
No good things happen at a bar at 4 a.m. This is a guy who used to live in Illinois, where you could. We're going to go again. This one's actually going to give 30 seconds because it is the co-main event. And I'd love to hear what you have on analysis for this one, Red. And it is between Dan Hooker and Michael Chandler. Go.
I'm gonna have to go with Hooker on this one. He's got the hands. He's got great takedowns. His striking is ridiculous, and he can hold the pace. Chandler, he does pretty good. He's got some pretty hard shots, but Hooker's got the longer arms, longer limbs. So I see Hooker pulling this one out. Takedowns, to be honest, probably won't be in Chandler's favor. Hooker's probably going to defend probably from round 2 and up. If not, he might finish him, to be honest.
Okay. Kev, what do you got?
I have a little thing called the spirit of Dolly Parton, Raph. And she's not going to let Michael Chandler lose. He's a Nashville, Tennessee guy. The spirit will rise. The desire to crush this horse shit plus 120 that's been handed to him in Vegas will obviously be a factor, as will his questionable Bellator background. I'm going with Michael Chandler. Plus, it's
Okay.
Michael Chandler. It's not Michael Callgirl. Like, Dan Hooker, get an appropriate last name. It's filthy.
Let's take a moment here because this will come back in the part of the conversation that we have a little bit later. But Red, I'm sure you heard the decision, aka the not decision, that Khabib Nurmagomedov made with Dana White.
Yeah.
Chandler has been talking about wanting to get in that mix. Khabib is saying, I'm not against coming back, but it has to be somebody's got to impress me. Is there any want from you to see the winner of this bout get a crack at Khabib?
Honestly, Khabib would smash both of them pretty easy, so it wouldn't be too entertaining. I honestly want to see him and McGregor go at it again, to be honest.
Interesting.
Does a Diaz interest you? Well, let's ask the expert while we're throwing questions at him.
Diaz, I mean, not really. You know what I mean? I feel like Khabib would do the same thing he's done to everybody else. McGregor has that pop in his punch, you know what I mean? He can, put anybody down. So I'd rather see him and Khabib go at it again.
Kev, I have some bad news for Red. We actually have a person calling in right now.
Oh, well, I'm going to put you on hold, ref, and dispatch in resident Diaz brother, Mr. Nate, here to defend his honor. Nate, did you hear that?
I heard that, motherfucker. Yeah, like he's putting disrespect on my name, man. Like, dog, why you tripping on me? I would have the best match with Khabib.
Yeah, but it's just stylistically, it's just not there, brother.
Okay, well, stylistically, you're dumb. So guess what? Okay, cool.
He transitively suggested you don't have pop in your hands. Ouch.
Well, you know what? First of all, I don't have a dictionary to look up what that means. Okay, so fuck you. And second of all, I don't know if you guys saw me tweet this out yesterday, but I did. And the tweet I put out was Khabib is pussy for real. Now, did I actually type the word A out like 2 times? Yeah, dog, I'm high. What do you expect from me? But then second of all, like, yeah, he's a little bitch. He's just running out of this sport and he's just scared.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the champ, Nate Diaz. Thanks for swinging by, Nate. You have a good evening.
Well, that seemed like a really good segment to keep me on. So fuck you, Kevin.
Okay.
Guys, I don't need this. I'm going to go fucking smoke a bowl now. Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Nate. Whew. And I'm just going over to the fights. I'm prepared to call. I'm dispatching Raph back in, but I am prepared to call the next one. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm sorry. He was very angry. He was not appreciating the fact that somehow he'd
the Diaz light went off in the studio. I was like, oh, shit.
I've got 2 notes here.
Watch out for the bottles.
The 2 notes that I've got here, that's a great joke. The 2 notes I've got here is 1, this is the most civilian-like I have ever heard you in our sport saying that you're more intrigued by Conor and Khabib. This is one of the glorified civilians or casuals that we speak of that we have on air right now, apparently. Why do you want to see that one again?
Well, I mean, you've seen the whole build up to it. You know what I mean? There's just so much animosity. It's almost like 2 countries going at it. It wasn't just 2 people. And, there was just so much beef and, big story behind it. But, I mean, stylistically, I mean, you even heard it from, everybody else, even Khabib's side, that, McGregor was definitely the most dangerous person he was going to face. And they were happy to, be done with him. But McGregor, he's a thinker. Stylistically, he's going to evolve his game and make those necessary changes. And I think he's evolved into a much better fighter than he was. So I'd definitely like to see that fight, because I don't think anyone's capable of beating Khabib right now, minus, Conor.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. This whole Khabib not making a decision, Dana White asking for an extension on his homework thing, it doesn't sit well with me for this main reason, which is Khabib went through this very public thing where he said he doesn't want to fight anymore. There's nothing left for him to prove. And then they completely X'd out the possibility of GSP. So Dana announced that's dead, not happening. And that was really the only reason people really wanted to see him come
Raph,
back.
did they mention where they landed on the Boneyard season 2 featuring
No,
GSP on
I
dinosaurs?
don't think that they've come up with GSP. Even though GSP said in his own way, I'm very excited by this news. So GSP was into the idea of facing Khabib.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden that got pushed to the side. And then Dana White said, no, Khabib's saying it's got to be one of these guys that's going to impress him. Which begs the question, no, that's not at all true. That's not at all.
Jessica eyes like, so you're saying there's a chance. All right. I'm going to fuck Calderwood up.
Which would be great, by the way. That is an open audition. That should be the next America's Got Talent. It's just Khabib with the buzzer that just says yes or no.
Oh, shit. This is why they should not let us plan UFC events. You and I would turn it into this immediately. We're like, trust us, ratings are going to be amazing. It's like, who will Khabib fight? Night 1.
I guess we went to the end question without going to the beginning question. So before we go back to the game, though, to you, Red, do you want to see him come back?
For one more fight, yeah, that'd be good. You know what I mean? I feel like we were just starting to see Khabib like really show his game and just see how far ahead he was. I mean, he was finishing people in ways that, you know, he doesn't normally, you know, finish people, you know, submissions. He was, you know, doing some pretty good striking work on his feet. You know, he was just starting to come in his own element. And I feel like he's cutting himself a little short, but, you know, if he wants to go away, that's his decision.
I'm just saying, if that dude wants to retire, let him retire in peace. I'm good.
Yeah.
I saw what I saw. I know what I saw. I'm just fine with it. And this is why I think the whole Nate Diaz things becomes interesting. Kev, if I give you the opportunity to buy one pay-per-view now at $70 apparently with the UFC, will you pay $70 for Khabib in a fight, or will you pay $70 for Nate Diaz in a fight?
Khabib.
Interesting. See, I can't get excited about a Khabib fight in the sense of, oh man, that's going to give me 75. Yeah, give me that much money.
People are missing out on one of the most important themes in sports.
What's that?
The passion to watch dominance. We want to watch you diminish your peers. When you are at the height of your game, when you're the Warriors with Kevin Durant, we want you polishing the second round of the playoffs. Sports-wise, just Anderson Silva, it wasn't fun because occasionally he lost. It was fun because he never fucking lost. He just never did. That's what would be fun here. Like, let Khabib fight whoever's there. It's not his fault. They would all fuck up Matt Hughes. Is that a good statement? So I don't understand it. I hate
famously right now is not okay to walk, but yes, sure.
You get what I'm saying? I would love to watch Khabib just wreck 8 people a year. No problem.
I think the thing that Red brought up, which is good, is that really at the peak of your athleticism to walk away seems a little odd to the rest of us. We're like, well, you're okay, so that doesn't make any sense. But he clearly wants to just kind of be done with it. So let him be done. On the same side, you float the idea, and this is why when people were giving us mess, because they're like, why are you listening to Nate Diaz? So I was like, he's just a compelling figure. I don't care if he wins or loses. Almost sometimes Nate Diaz losing is almost more compelling because he's the only person who's going to come out and call the person who just beat the shit out of him a bitch. And then cut an epic promo where you go, I don't know why, but this dude is so fucking fascinating and entertaining. So that's my note. We're going to go back to the game now. Flyweight bout. Kevin, you start us off on this one. Amir Bazi versus Zagalas. This alliteration is too much. Zuma./gov. Go.
Zumagulov. Don't be a dick. It is just the easiest thing in the world to pronounce. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I got through most of it. I'm taking Bazi. Longer reach, more violent sounding name. And if you have a Z in your name, you're statistically more likely to be pissed off at the world.
Fair. Red, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna have to agree with him on that. You know, Bazi, his takedown ability is really good. He has good hands, and then his submission rate's high. So I'm definitely gonna have to go with Bazi on this one.
All right, we're going to go to our next fight right now. It is between Andrew Sanchez and Mahmoud Muradov. Red, you go first.
I'm gonna have to go with let's just say Sanchez on this one. Just going back to the takedowns and strikes. They're very similar. You know what I mean? But Sanchez looks like the stockier opponent. He'll probably edge out a decision on this one.
All right, Kev, what do you have?
Murgadov. Ask yourself one question. Who's more likely to be featured in a Drake song from this fight? It's a really easy answer.
Wow.
Muradov. He is 6'2" with a longer reach and is a nightmare, Raph.
I don't think Drake has ever been that publicly associated on any of our fight picks before, but I'm glad you did it.
Let him know.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Hashtag God's plan. Kevin, you're picking next. Women's strawweight bout. Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Ribas. Go.
That's a good one.
Why is he cutting?
I don't know. You tell him.
Like,
This
he
is your
gets
time.
it. Is this his thing? This is easy. I'm going with Ribas. Ribas is pure violence.
Awesome. What do you got for us, Red?
I'm in agreement on this one right here. Ribas, she's freaking an animal. Rodriguez is solid. She's a really good fighter too, but man, Ribas is a whole nother kind of beast.
This is going to be an interesting card to watch because the two of you have only really differentiated on a handful of them. So your fates are going to be very, very tied to one another on this fight card. I would tell you this, though. This is a good time that we like to tell the guest, which is about this time, we let the guest know that there's usually a wager. Now, it's never financial because jiu-jitsu. So we usually suggest that people come up with wagers like Kevin.
I still have to make dick cookies. The first batch I tried to make didn't go great. I'm just going to say it. It didn't look like dicks. It looked like cookie peanut brittle that I was trying to make. Anyway, dick cookies. I have to make those and kind of display them. Shirt exchanges. Social media posts. Jiu-jitsu advice. I mean, there's been different items of those types of natures, but typically that type of prank type situation.
Absolutely. Usually somebody has to write something very nice about the other person, or they have to cut a video as to why a person
Podcast
is this or there.
reviews. Yeah, no.
Yep. So having said that, Red, without saying what it is, if you do have one, do you have a bet in mind?
Not yet, but that whole dick cookie thing is pretty hilarious.
I'm glad that you liked it. Unfortunately, we've done that once. So that's not happening again.
Yeah.
However,
Not until I
you
learn
got
to make
3
dick
fights.
cookies at the very least.
You got 3 fights to figure out what could be a wager. And speaking of which, you're actually going to keep it going right now. It's a light heavyweight bout between Khalil Roundtree Jr. and Marcin Prentino. That's not a real name. Let's go, Red.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Roundtree on this one. The last couple times I've seen him fight, totally different fighter, you know what I mean? He started relying on his hands, his speed, and his power. So I think that's what he's going to kind of bring to the fight this time around.
Gotcha. Kevin.
I get what he's doing.
Mm.
I get it.
Mm.
And it would be easy to just take the Vegas card sweep, call it a day. But occasionally you have to make some money. You can't just donate it to who they want you to think. Use your third eye. Prachnio! Which fighter sounds more like a cheese you would lightly shred using one of those handheld graters over some fine pasta?
Got the there. Someone's got the munchies.
Thank you. That was all I was trying to do. Hit your DoorDash app. Not sponsored. Prachnio!
I do appreciate the fact that it does sound like something you bring over to your friend's house for a fancy wine and cheese dinner and be like, well, I brought the Pacino. So I don't think Kevin's too far out of the lane on this one. All right, Kev. Lightweight bout. Nasrat Hack Parist versus Armin Suki Ryan. Go.
Where in the English language did the Q and the P meet is a fun translation of it's like just put it whatever it is in the Harquest. This one's easy because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going with Harkaprast because it's the most priestly sounding name.
All right, what do you got for us, Red?
Yeah, I'm in agreement on that one. Just looking at the stats, and I've seen him fight a couple of times. He has pretty good, solid takedowns. He's southpaw. He's a little bit taller than his opponent, so I'm gonna see him steal this one.
Well, gents, we've gotten all the way to the main event, and I'm excited because I'm about to give 30 seconds to both of you. But here's the bigger reason why I'm excited about it. I get to hear Red immediately give the justification as to why he might see the fight that he really wants to see. So it'll be very interesting to see if that is the way he goes on this fight pick, or if he's got a feeling that is a diamond-filled night ahead of us. Red, the choice is yours. 30 seconds are on the clock for you.
Definitely going to have to go with McGregor on this one. Like I said, knowing him, he's definitely evolved his game as a fighter. The last time he fought Poirier, he pieced him up pretty good. Poirier's, he's evolved himself, gotten a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little more confident. But McGregor, like I said, he's about a level above him. Not taking anything away from Poirier because I really love him as a fighter, but McGregor's going to steal this one.
All right. Kev, do you agree with that?
No, because I watched Dustin Poirier in a documentary on Netflix put some prepackaged salmon in a George Foreman grill. That type of grit and determination isn't measurable in the Vegas books, and it's not measurable now. I'm going hard upset with the diamond. Tell her that you mean it forever. Poirier.
I've already gotten Red's thoughts on this. Kev, is there any fight that happens? Because they did say Oliveira did impress Khabib, but do you see any of these scenarios, a.k.a. Chandler, Poirier, McGregor, Oliveira, that actually incite one Khabib Nurmagomedov to come back? And why?
I'm actually nervous it's already predetermined that Poirier is going to take a dive with the McGregor machine. You see what I'm doing? I'm destabilizing the election.
I got you.
Poirier is going to take a dive for McGregor, who is all of a sudden going to impress Khabib. And look out, it's round 3. We're going to really charge you for this one. That's what I think is going to happen.
It seems that's what
third eye.
It seems that's what the MMA gods do want us to kind of build back to. And it would be interesting to see McGregor and Khabib one last time, if only for the pay-per-view numbers. I don't know that I see it happening any differently, because I know, Red, you've said that McGregor has progressed. I don't know who we see as a Conor McGregor now, because he famously had several losses that were very big. However, the person he's fighting in this particular case is a guy that he dusted. Do you feel that that plays any role in the mental psychology game of going up against somebody that you basically finish them super quick?
Oh yeah, there's definitely, he definitely respects his opponents despite what, facade he puts on or what kind of show. But I feel like, he definitely goes in there with a whole lot of confidence against Poirier. But going back to that previous question, I think one fight that might pull Khabib out is Oliveira, personally. I feel like that dude, man, he took a turn on his whole career. And I think that he's definitely someone that could challenge Khabib for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why, but when they did mention that one that he had earned his respect, I said that one makes a little bit more sense. It's somebody new to the equation. But I got
Yeah.
this impression, and I don't mean any real disrespect to Dustin Poirier, but if he did win and he did beat Conor McGregor, just the way that he got handled makes me almost believe that he'd say, "Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Nah,
I
Khabib
wouldn't
would
want
beat me.
yeah.
I'm pretty resolute. I'd love to get it back, but I don't think it's gonna change."
Yeah, that's not going to change.
But that's just my opinion. All right, we go now to the fight of the night and performances of the night, just in case we need a tiebreaker. And Kevin, I need you to tell me your 2 performances of the night and the 1 fight of the night, please.
Yeah, fight of the night's going to be Poirier McGregor, regardless of anything else that possibly happens. Then performance of the night 1 is easily going to go to Julia Pena. Performance of the night 2 is going to go to. I almost did Prochnio because I love the cheese, but I'm actually going to go with Shoeface
Shoeface, okay.
with a submission
Red,
upset.
what do you got for fight of the night and 2 performances of the night?
Fight of the night, of course, McGregor and Poirier. Performance of the night, gonna go with Hooker and Rivas.
Awesome. You were very well prepared. Most people are not that prepared for that one,
Yeah.
which
Well,
I guess begs the question.
These are just the fights that I'm excited to see. You know what I mean? Like just those 2 names alone on the card, you know it's going to be pretty solid. You know what I mean? They're not walks in the park. They bring it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, speaking of bringing it, I think it is time for you to tell us if you have a bet in mind. So we always defer to the guest. I'll go ahead and start with you. Red, do you have a bet in mind for Kevin should you beat him in over-under, Kevin?
I'd say definitely has to hop in the competition.
I would veto this one, if only that I'd like to keep my partner from breaking.
Okay.
Like, he's gonna train. It's not a matter of him not training. It's a matter of him saying, like, this is a guy who was trying to talk me into competition and was like, Raph, it's so good. It's so good. For him to say right now, no, I'm not, is more of a, I'd like to save money on bills.
Raph, I've heard enough. No, you're right. But I like Red's spirit.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a pans. You're a purple belt.
But, Red, do you have another idea? So do you have a bet in mind that's not Kevin competing?
That would be another good one.
It says EBI CJJ champ. You dickhead, by the way. People are like, what's the big deal? It's like, he's not any competitor.
Well,
what state did you say you were in?
Denver, Colorado.
Oh, then you can go ahead and hop into a lake.
Well, I actually did something similar in Breckenridge not long ago. But we can, okay, a little polar. Where are you at then? Hold on.
I'm in California, brother.
Oh, shut up. No, hold on. What's equal to this? Raph, we're going to have to work on this one.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you have a bet in mind? Do you have a counter, Kevin?
I don't yet. Workshopping it because I've noticed. Do you own singlets currently?
No, I don't.
You don't own a single singlet.
I haven't worn one in probably 10 years.
Okay. Because I was going to suggest a singlet apology video, Raph, where you put the singlet you own on and apologize for being an inferior picker to the other.
Yeah,
that was going to be my.
That's actually not bad. We can figure something out. So what I'll do is I'll facilitate a bet between the two of you off air, and we'll figure something out going there. But what I want to say is this. Go ahead, Red.
No, I'd be down to take that bet. I'd probably pull it to the other side too. If he had a singlet, I'd be down for that one.
Kev?
Oh, I have a singlet. Oh,
Yeah.
This is someone speaking of something I just packed recently.
What kind of stuff are you into?
No one's business.
Let's be very clear, though, Red. Kevin owns this one. Well,
Raph,
he
we
actually doesn't have that
own
one.
matching singlets. They're similar in
No
nature.
way.
Don't be a
Well, hold on.
prude about it, Raph.
Explain what it is. It's KO Sports Gear. So that singlet
Cool, man.
that you liked, Red, the America Threw Up on Your Face one, was a sponsor of this show. And that one is one that I was like, man, this is so ridiculous. We don't have any need for it. But then I said to them, I said, well, we do all these WWE BJJ sketches. I'm sure we can utilize that. And lo and behold, you hit me up and said, yo, I need that singlet. Rich, Areola hit me up. Craig Jones hit me up. Like, it was a wildly, famously popular singlet. So that brand has worked with us in the past, even though Kevin and I are almost the antithesis of wrestling.
Oh, okay. That's pretty sweet.
But yeah, that's the reason why. So we can, all right, I guess that
I've
works.
never
then.
been a big hugger, but it's just me talking.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then that's good. We have an accord on that. We'll figure out the details of the social media bit that goes along with it. Red, here's what I'm going to say to you. We normally do a thing on the show where we allow you to come back the next week should you be interested in talk about the fights that we just saw here today or that we just previewed here today. Would you be up for that next week?
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. Now, Red, you and Kevin can now be friends. No more trash talk. You guys are good. Kevin, do you have
Try
any
and
departing
stop
words?
us. I love this guy. He's my favorite.
Do you have departing words for Red as we start to wind this thing down?
Yeah, more slap jitsu. Love watching you fight. You're a blast out there. Don't be afraid to get a little fat. You're really small and keep it compact. And I get it. There's a place for that, but just don't be afraid. Pack on 15, 20 quick pounds. See what's going on.
I did over this pandemic, except I got into like a lifting thing. I got pretty big pretty quick. I put on like 18 pounds.
Let's just say, Kevin, the kgs that you go up in 80 cc. They definitely happen a little bit for Red. But Red has that unfortunate thing that happens to people where when they're in shape, they don't get real fat. They just get more muscle. And you go, well, that's not fair. Well, Red, do you have anybody you want to shout out, sponsors, people who take care of you? We'd love to go and give you an opportunity to shout them out.
AMP, Virusware, ATTC. I'm going to start going on a website. It's in the works right now where I'm going to start allowing people to subscribe to my page, and I'm going to be going over techniques, different, obviously combat would be one, wrestling, and different submissions that I specialize in. So that's something I'm in the works on right now, but I'll be posting more about that later on.
Dude, that sounds
Jitsu.
awesome. That sounds awesome, not just because you're somebody who has a very accomplished resume, but you've also been really good about posting your workouts for people to try. You've been encouraging people during a very terrible time in the pandemic and telling people to send you videos or things of people doing the workouts that you're suggesting. And what's weird is you're essentially giving them kind of like a very affordable version of how to stay in shape. And I've been very, very appreciative of you doing that because I know it's helped people. So big props to you, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Well, Kev, I think that's going to do it for us here.
And
We're
I'm
very
on his
appreciative.
Instagram. I'm seeing his version of gaining weight, and I'm not enjoying it.
I know.
What the? You know what? Yeah, no, let's call it. Everyone, thanks. Yeah, this has been Verbal Tap. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fight.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is